my Parks Board homies.
We got some different faces out there. Good evening. I'm Sugar Land Mayor Joe Zimmerman. Welcome to the City of Sugar Land City Council meeting for Tuesday, November the 15th. A little bit about our agenda tonight. In a minute, we're going to have the invocation. That'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And then we're going to have two special recognitions. I'll come down off the dais for the two special recognitions, and we'll invite our guests up and have a brief recognition to a Teacher of the Year, and then also to Family Court Awareness Month. So at this time, if you'll rise with me for the invocation. Heavenly Father, we love you and thank you for all that you do for our city. We ask that you give us compassion for those that are less fortunate and the wisdom to govern fairly. We also ask your blessing on our police, fire, EMS, and staff as they not only protect us and keep us safe, but provide an exceptional level of service to our citizens. Bless our great nation, the men and women of our armed forces and special forces who give their lives to protect the freedom that we enjoy. May we never forget that this freedom was purchased by the brave men and women who gave their lives fighting for our country. I ask all these things in the name above all names. Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll do that in a minute. Our first recognition, we've got a special recognition. I'm going to ask our two guests to come up. We've got with us Tammy McElvoy from Lagos Preparatory Academy and Elizabeth Kendricks from Lagos Preparatory Academy. Now, I gave them a little bit of a brief overview of what we were going to do, ask them if they wanted to speak. They really didn't want to do that, but we're going to give them that opportunity after I read the certificate of recognition. And I think it kind of goes without saying, just to introduce the topic. Our teachers give so much to our kids. They spend more time with them than our kids normally spend with us at home. And I don't mind telling you that we don't pay them near enough or give them near enough respect for the kind of work that they do and how they impact our kids' lives. So this is particularly important, I think, to me and probably to all of you, that we get to honor a teacher tonight. To Elizabeth Kendricks, Lagos Preparatory Academy teacher, 2022 Christian Teacher of the Year by the Herzog Foundation. This certificate of recognition is presented to Lagos Preparatory Academy teacher Elizabeth Kendricks for her recent recognition of excellence in education by the Herzog Foundation. In Washington, D.C., the Herzog Foundation recognized Elizabeth and 11 other teachers that embody excellence in Christian education. Ms. Kendricks currently teaches American literature, AP English literature and composition, apologetics, and fourth grade English at Lagos Preparatory Academy in Sugar Land, Texas. I wouldn't have been one of your better students. The Christian Teacher of the Year Awards are part of the Herzog Foundation's Excellence in Christian Education Award Series. Whether teaching students or leading other educators, Elizabeth exemplifies the best attributes of an education professional. Elizabeth, congratulations.
Well, of course, I will speak on behalf of Elizabeth Kendricks because she is an amazing educator, and I have had the opportunity to work with her for 8 years. I've seen her grow from a classroom teacher to a leader of classroom teachers and doing all of the above. And so she serves many roles at Logos, and I am so proud of her. The Herzog Foundation searched nationally for teachers to recognize, and the things that they were looking for, the things that we look for when we hire, and the things that Ms. Kendricks represents, which is a love of the Lord, a heart for the students, a passion for the subject they're teaching, and the gift of teaching. And so those are all true of Elizabeth Kendricks, who is very deserving of this award.
Council, if you could come down off the dais and get a picture. Congratulations. I can move you guys up a little bit. There you go. Right here. Mike, sir. No, you're not.
Everybody get ready, please. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Our second recognition is Family Court Awareness Month. And I'm going to ask David Wonder and Andrew Ross, and there's actually a fairly large group that's here. I'm going to ask the group to come down with Andrew and David. And if you guys could please, gentlemen, if y'all could stand right here, kind of move up a little bit and let them get behind you. There we go. That is a large group. Here, we'll balance y'all out if y'all come over here. There we go. Perfect. A proclamation. Family Court Awareness Month, November of 2022. Whereas the mission of Family Court Awareness Month Committee is to increase awareness of a family court system that prioritizes child safety and acts in the best interest of children while shedding light on hundreds of children that have succumbed to travesties during dangerous visitation that ended in tragedy. And whereas, additionally, FCAMC raises awareness on the importance of using empirically based education and training on domestic violence and child abuse, including emotional, psychological, physical, and sexual abuse, as well as childhood trauma, coercive control, and post-separation abuse for judges and all professionals working on cases within the family court system. And whereas FCAMC plays an active role to educate judges and other family court professionals on evidence-based, peer-reviewed research that illustrates the importance of using treatment programs and services that are scientifically valid, evidence-based, and proven to be safe and effective. Such research is a critical component to making decisions that are truly in the best interest of our children. And I'm going to pass this on. Who wants to speak first?
My name is Andrew Ross, and I'm a junior at Clemens High School working to raise awareness of Family Court Awareness Month throughout the county. Our mission is to make known the importance of a court system that prioritizes child safety by listening to children's voices. We would like to thank the mayor for everything he has done to help the youth in this city and for giving us a valuable opportunity to make change for something that many parents and children are striving for.
Hello, my name is David Wonder, and I am a junior at school called Bluebonnet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members of Sugar Land, for declaring this Family Court Awareness Month on the behalf of the hundreds of children who have died and the thousands more who have suffered. Bringing awareness about the harmful and traumatizing forced reunification camps that have no scientific proof of safety, effectiveness, or therapeutic value is a meaningful step in the right direction. So again, on the behalf of those who have suffered and those who are suffering still, we thank you.
I know we've got a lot of people on the screen up there. I think there's quite a few.
All right, everybody, if you can see me, then the camera can see you. Okay. Excuse me, now, man in the blue in the back, you can speak a little bit more right there. All right, great. Look right here, please. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's 1. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you.
All right, congratulations.
Andrew, I think I was going to get a picture with two of you. Thanks for reminding me.
All right, guys, come right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
It's going to be a lot of fun to introduce this next topic. Item number 2 is the annual ethics training. 2A, and we've got a lot of people down here. You have to be up on the dais? Oh. Thomas, do we have any public comments? I'm sorry. Item number 1.
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Don't
Nobody
have any
signed up.
public comments. There you go, Meredith. Meredith Reedy, our city attorney, is going to do this. And if you guys haven't been through this system before, this is a lot of fun. She's dreamed up something. She's going to try to trick us. I can tell you. I can tell you that's the case. Go ahead, Meredith. I'm looking forward to this myself.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the introduction. As everybody here knows, this is by far my favorite meeting of the year and my favorite topic of the year. This is like almost as good as my birthday. So I am here this evening to do what you are required to do under the Code of Ethics. Our ordinance requires you to get annual training from me on your ethical responsibilities. And I get to go first. Tonight we're going to play Cards Against Ethics. So, what are our objectives of the game this evening? Like I mentioned a moment ago, it's to receive an overview of the Code of Ethic and the training that you're required by the Code of Ordinances. Who all gets to play with us this evening? Everybody in the room. Members of City Council, members of our advisory and administrative boards, and every once in a while we even let former council members and advisory board members play, and candidates for City Council. We are all inclusive. So we only have 8 simple rules here tonight. You must disclose conflicts of interest, you must disclose gifts, certain personal relationships, doing business with the city, representations and appearances, misuse of city property, participate in procurement process, and campaign activity. Y'all ready? So, conflicts of interest. This is a special economic benefit that you receive or someone related to you in the first or second degree receives. For a business entity, I'd like you to keep in mind the rule of 10 and 15. 10% of your gross annual income, 10% of the gross annual income of those related to you by first or second degree, 10% of the value, fair market value, or 15%, 10% or 15,000 of the fair market value of a company. That is before you this evening on an item on your agenda. If that happens, you get to file a conflicts of interest disclosure form with the city secretary's office. And you have the real property rule of 25. This is the extremely low threshold. It's $2,500 or more value in any piece of real property that comes before your board that you get to vote on. So you now know that you have a conflict of interest. What are you going to do? You're going to file a conflicts disclosure statement by 5 p.m. on Friday as soon as you find out you have it. You're going to abstain from voting on that item, and just because we're better than most baseball teams and we don't want to do any of those funny little hand motions, still second, vote my way, we're going to ask that you leave the room and step outside. So when do you get to disclose who you're related to? If an item on the agenda and you and a vendor are related in the first or second degree, and you or your relative in the first or second degree received $2,500 or more in the past year from that vendor, or if you're related by the third degree of consanguinity, second degree by affinity. I don't have my chart. I'd be happy to send that to you if you don't know where the circles line up for that. So it's the holiday season. It's gift time. You get to brag. I suggest you brag because if you brag and you fill out a conflict of interest form, it's called a gift. If you don't, the district attorney likes to refer to it as a bribe. And we're all better than that. So when do you get to brag? You get to brag if you get lodging, transportation, entertainment, or food, asterisk, with a cumulative value received from an individual vendor within a rolling 12-month time period. Now you'll see there's a little asterisk next to the food, so if the Thanksgiving holiday is coming up and a vendor wants to provide you and your family Thanksgiving dinner for 4, unless it's a drive-through dinner from McDonald's, I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and disclose that. Now, if the vendor asks you to come sit at a restaurant with them, guess what? Go ahead and get that pie to go because you get up to $500 before you have to file that disclosure gift. So additional rules, we got 5 more rules, and then we get to play. So we have doing business with the city. A council member is prohibited from doing any substantial business with the city. Substantial business is $1,000 or more. So depending on how long you sit on council, if you're a 1-term council member or a 3-term council member, stick to $999, and then you don't have a problem. Representations and appearances. Representation, you cannot go from any other board for money while you're sitting on the board or for 2 years after you're sitting on the board. Do not go up there and represent any interest conflicting to that of the city's position or your position on that board. Remember, we're going to go back, talk about the hats you're wearing. So appearances, when you are in front of your board, you are always wearing your appointed or elected hat, unless you have a conflict of interest, meaning it's a zoning issue, for example, and it is your property that is being zoned. You are allowed to go in front of your board, but what's what you do? You go, hi, my name is Meredith. I live at 2700 Town Center Boulevard, and I'm here to talk about the rezoning issue for my property. And you say, I'm doing this in my personal capacity. And so everybody now knows that you're doing it as a citizen, and you're not wearing your cap as a board member. So misuse and disclosure of official information, that's a fun one. So if for some reason you get to go in executive session and hear some wonderful secrets because somebody is suing the city or doing an economic development deal, you can't take that information and use it for yourself. You can't go buy that property next to Chick-fil-A because they're now going to have 2 places, or you can't go buy the Shake Shack because you got that information in executive session. Participation and procurement. Now, I tell this to City Council and anybody else in here who has aspirations of moving up from their current board up to city council, is that procurement is established by state law, and we follow that very strictly. The city manager and this purchasing department go through a process that is laid out very clearly in the local government code. We ask that everybody abstain from participation except for the purchasing agent and the vendor. If city council wants additional information, or a vendor comes up to you and asks for information related to an item that is out for bid, I would highly recommend that you say, hey, you know what, I can't discuss this with you. Please go see the purchasing agent. If you do decide to have that conversation, both the council member will be disqualified from voting on the item, and the vendor will be disqualified from participating in the procurement process because it would be considered to get inappropriate information. And finally, campaign contributions. You're all ethical people. We don't get sued very often. Wink, wink. And if we do happen to get sued for somebody wanting more than $25,000 from the city, they cannot make a campaign contribution to you. You must refuse it, give it back, and say thanks, but no thanks, because we don't want there to be any idea or any hint of impropriety that they have bought your vote and you are now going to give them taxpayer dollars to settle their case. So we went through that very fast. And if you want to read a full copy of the text of the rules, verify that I gave you correct information, you can find it in Chapter 2, Article 4 of the city's Code of Ordinances. You happen to have questions, because like I said, I went really fast, you can ask for a written ethics opinion from the city attorney. If we were playing Monopoly, this would be called a get-out-of-jail-free card. And what you'd say is like, you know, I'm thinking about doing something. Is it ethical? And I'll say, well, give me all the facts you have. Have you done it yet? If you haven't done it, I'll write an opinion based on how I think the board would rule on your question. And if you've already done it, I can't help you. Sorry, so long, not my problem. Good luck. I wish you all the best. So, now that you've heard the rules, you know where to find them. What if somebody doesn't follow the rules? What are you going to do? Or what are your options? You can file a written complaint. A written complaint must be filed with the city secretary's office. It must be signed, sworn, filed within 1 year of the date of the allegation, or 1 year of you finding out about that allegation. It has to include the name of the person who you believe violated the code and some facts related to that. Once you've done that, you send it to the city secretary. I now get an opportunity to review that. What do I look at? I look to see, is it signed and sworn? Is the person who is the complaint is filed against, are they subject to the code? If you say the city manager ran a stop sign, I'll say that's great information. I'm sure I can use this for my next evaluation. However, the city manager is not subject to the Code of Ordinances, nor are traffic violations. So that would not go forward. If I have determined that it is within the year, the person is subject to the code, the item is subject to the code, we then send it to the Independent Ethics Review Board. They will review the complaint. They have an opportunity to ask questions. They have a public hearing. They can do some investigation. They can also enter a settlement negotiation. A settlement would be if an individual goes, you know what, I violated the code. I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to do it. And they'll say, okay, thank you for your honesty. Let's make a settlement agreement, and we'll just go straight to sanctions. So what are the sanctions? 1 through 7. All of these, once the board makes a decision, whether in a public hearing or as a result of settlement agreement, will be published on the city's website. You will notice that item number 7, recommendation of recall. That's because the board cannot remove somebody from office. If you're voted in, you're voted out. No other way to it. So, any questions? All right, let's play. All right, Cards Against Ethics. The purpose of the Code of Ethical Conduct is, feel free to shout out, please.
What do we do, press the screen?
Yes.
There we go.
All right, we'll move on. Thank you. The purpose of personal conduct and ethical behavior include blank and blank.
Commitment to public welfare.
If you receive a blank valued at over $100, it is holiday time, from a city vendor, you must.
File a conflict of interest form.
I'm so proud of y'all. Family game night is awesome. Confidential information obtained during a blank can blank.
Close executive session. Cannot be used for your personal benefit.
Excellent. Okay, if you would financially benefit from a contract in which the city is considering purchasing blank, you should
File a
blank.
conflict of interest form.
Okay, Mayor, I'm going to have to ask, which contract are you entering into, though? All right, glow in the dark badges, thank you. All right. If a relative will receive a financial benefit from an item on the agenda for consideration, you should blank and blank.
Abstain.
All right, if you have to abstain from voting on an agenda item, you should blank and then blank.
Leave the room.
Remedial training for you.
Wait outside.
Excellent, thank you. If your friend asks to borrow a city vehicle for an afternoon to blank, you must.
I like the DoorDash.
All right, and finally, to file an ethics complaint, a blank must be blank.
Signed and sworn allegation. Filed with the city secretary.
I was hoping for Facebook. Thank you so much.
Now you know why she's our city attorney. She has a sense of humor too. I wouldn't want to go up against it. All right, we've got item number 3, the oath of office. I see all these smiling faces. I know you guys are here for the oath of office. Y'all want to come down front? Come on, y'all come. Hi, how are you doing? Oh, Mom's going to keep you. Mom's going to keep you there. All right, here we kind of get everybody all bunched up here together. How y'all doing? Yeah, there we go. Okay, here we go. I repeat your name. Oh, go ahead and raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of in your position of the city of Sugar Land, County of Fort Bend, State of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, and the charter and ordinances of the city. And I furthermore solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, or promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or valuable thing, or promised any public office or employment as a reward to secure my appointment or the confirmation thereof, so help me God. Congratulations. Thank y'all for volunteering. As you know, the city can't function without you all, and we really do appreciate not only your commitment of time, but your family's commitment to allow you to execute these duties that you've now signed on for. Thank y'all. Have a great day. And you passed your ethics. But I got to tell you, Meredith was concerned if I put y'all up here first and gave you the oath, y'all were going to bolt for the door and she wouldn't get the ethics. Those kids are as cute as they can be. Here we go, item number 4, the consent agenda. We're going to consider all these as one item. We do have one item. We're going to pull item number 4A. Any others that we're going to pull, council members? If not, I'll take a motion and a second for the remaining items.
So moved.
Got a motion by Jacobson, second by McCutcheon. If you vote at this time, please. And it passes 7-0. Thank you, council members. Item number 4A, second consideration. Consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land Ordinance number 2281, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, providing for a change of zoning from Imperial General Development Plan, GDP, to Imperial Ballpark District, Track B, Baxi Retail Plaza, final development plan for approximately 2.586 acres of land located along South Stadium Drive, adjacent to the Imperial Ballpark lots between Imperial Boulevard and Oyster Creek. And we have Lauren Fair, our Assistant Director of Planning and Development Services. Suzanne, I know you pulled this. Any comments you want to pose to staff?
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Lauren, for being here. I know at our last meeting when we discussed this under the first consideration that the mayor had asked for an escrow account to be established in case we had any problems at the crosswalk. We foresaw a lot of, well, not a lot, but possibilities of some pedestrian crossing problems. So I know that now we have it under second consideration, and can you explain that why the escrow account was not established going forward? And what are any options should we see any incidents coming before us since it's not going to be established?
Suzanne, I'm going to ask Meredith to address that, the city attorney.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman. The reason why we are not having an escrow account set up for this is there's this little thing called a rough proportionality. And so you must show how much of the impact each development causes. And if you're requiring a crosswalk or money to pay for the crosswalk, you would need to show that the escrow account covers whatever impact they make. From looking at it, and at the public hearing, you heard statements from our traffic engineer, and at the time he says a TIA is not warranted. So based on that, but a TIA is not warranted at this point in time, it's my recommendation that we do not require them to have an escrow account. Part of the public hearing, a lot of the comments were related to people leaving the Constellation Field and going over there. That seems to indicate that any of the traffic is being derived and created at the Constellation site and not the Baxi retail site. If we decide this is a problem going forward, if we notice things, it can be addressed through the special events permit process. And at that time, we can address it. But I would recommend against requiring it at this time based on the information we have.
Follow up.
Follow up.
Thank you, Meredith. So that was my concern, and we had discussed it. I just want that for public record so we could have a discussion about it and everyone knew before we voted. And secondly, my next question would be if we see something coming forward, I'm assuming the city would assume the responsibility of financially covering the cost of this.
Right.
Yes.
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 And yes. We're all shaking our heads. Yes.
Carol.
Yeah, I follow. So how would the special events permit work? Since, I mean, every time there's a baseball game, there'd have to be a special events permit filed or go through. I mean, I don't understand the process that you're talking about.
We have a special event process Constellation Field goes through annually. And so we would look at any events they have out there, or if there's a special event that's outside of what their annual permit is for, we would address it at that time. We could add police officers, we could add cones, whatever is deemed necessary based on what the event is.
Anyone else? Do I have a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Got a motion by Ferguson. Do I have a second? Second. Got a second by Lane. Vote at this time, please. And it passes 6-1. Thank you, council members. Item number 5, contracts and agreements. 5A, consideration of an action on authorization of a construction contract with D.G. Medina Construction, LLC in the amount of $3,266,843.85 for the First Colony Trail and Pedestrian Bridges Project, CIP, CPK 1506, an authorization of a budget amendment in the amount of $700,000 to expenditures. And we have with us Monique Johnson and Greg Nichols, our senior project manager. Monique.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, council members. This is an exciting night. We are finally bringing forward the First Colony Trail for construction. So it's been a long time coming, and what I'll do is I'll start it off with some background information just to remind everybody the process that we've been through, and then I'll hand it off to Greg to take it for the contract for construction. So in 2013, the Parks Bond included three propositions. Proposition number 3 included 3 trail projects. So that was the Imperial Connector Trail, which was completed back in 2016, the Sugar Land Trail, which runs along Ditch H, which is currently under design, and then, of course, the First Colony Trail, which we completed design this past summer in August. So the original 2013 Parks Bond, you know, it had the original scope, you know, had a lot of different things that we've heard from the community that were concerns. There was some, you know, safety issues that we had addressed, and so what we did was we decided to put the project on hold to address some of those concerns. And so we went through an extensive public engagement process. We engaged several of the neighborhoods in the area, St. Lawrence Church, Fort Bend ISD, and I believe the Levee Improvement District as well. And we really got a lot of input from those stakeholders to pretty much change the scope and deliver more than what we originally included in that 2013 bond, and to also meet the needs of those residents. So when we developed that scope, we took the project to Parks Board in 2019, and at that time, due to funding constraints, they had recommended that we proceed with an alternative route that, you know, it would make the connection, which I'll explain and show some maps here in a minute, but it would make the connection and also fulfill the original intent of that 2013 Parks Bond. At that time, City Council concurred with Parks Board to move forward with that alternative route. Since then, we partnered with Fort Bend County in their 2020 Parks Bond, and we were able to secure additional funding, which is allowing us to deliver the original 2013 Parks Bond, but also the request that we heard from the stakeholders during that public engagement process. So more than what we had originally intended. So here's a map of that original First Colony Trail project. As you can see in the red, that was the original trail alignment, and the blue lines that are highlighted in the yellow circles, those were the original bridges. So if you look towards the north, let's see, there we go. If you look on the north side of the map, we have a connection coming from Lexington and a connection coming from Austin Parkway that meet at the intersections of the ditches. And then we have a pedestrian bridge that connects over to the existing Woodstream Trail. And so what the original project also included was a connection here from Sweetwater Boulevard behind the Colony Park neighborhood and then connecting back into there. And then also the bridge here on the north side that connects over to Mesquite Park. When we presented the project to Parks Board, they had recommended, like I mentioned, moving forward with an alternative that would fulfill some of the needs, concerns that we heard in the community. So here you see the original connections from Austin Parkway and Lexington, but the new thing that was added based on that feedback was a crossing on Sweetwater Boulevard, and they had decided to go underneath. That was the preferred way to get under there. And then also connect back around with a pedestrian bridge over Ditch A to connect to the existing sidewalk on Sweetwater Boulevard. And then this also included that bridge over to connect to Mesquite Park, which was in the original scope. So here's a blow-up of what that crossing looks like in connection on Sweetwater. So with the revised scope, we have 10-foot wide trail connections from Lexington and Austin Parkway with the bridge spanning Ditch A to connect to the existing Woodstream Trail. There's a below-grade crossing underneath Sweetwater Boulevard and a pedestrian bridge spanning Ditch A. We also have 2 additional bridges which were requested by, well, one was requested by the community when we did our public engagement. So that includes one parallel to Austin Parkway to connect over to First Colony Middle School, and then the original bridge that was in the scope to connect over to Mesquite Park over Ditch C. So we'll also be replacing the existing sidewalk on Sweetwater and between Ditch A and Austin Parkway with the 10-foot wide sidewalk to make that more friendly for pedestrians and bicycles. And so here's a revised scope, and with that, I will hand it over to Greg to go over the contract.
Thank you, Monique. Greg?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Sorry about that. Is that better? Okay, here's the map of the proposed revised scope. You can see the trail up in the top left-hand corner. That's going to be new trail with a bridge over Ditch A connecting to the Woodstream Trail. Mid-screen is a proposed underpass along Ditch A under Sweetwater Boulevard. And once you come underneath Sweetwater Boulevard, you'll get back to ground level and cross on a new pedestrian bridge that will be away from the street and safer for the public, both pedestrians and bicyclists. The trail widening there shown there in yellow is along Sweetwater between Ditch A and Austin Parkway. Like Monique mentioned, that'll be widened to 10 foot to accommodate pedestrians and bicycles. The bridge in the red on the bottom is right there next to the elementary school. One of the concerns that the public had was that kids are crossing that bridge right there, and it's very close to vehicular traffic, so the new pedestrian bridge will be offset, allowing the kids to cross without nearing the street. And the bridge up on the top right-hand corner is connecting to Mesquite Park. I don't know if you recall, but there used to be a bridge there years and years ago that actually burned down, so this is getting replaced. Here's our project funding slide. Fort Bend County Parks Bond allocated $1.485 million. City CIP project 1506 has $1,243,319.33. That has our current available budget at $2,728,319.33. Our project needs tonight, this construction contract is at $3,266,843.85. We have included a 4.5 contingency and construction administration and materials testing contracts estimated at $161,475.48, bringing our estimated total needs at $3,428,319.33. That gives us a budget gap of $700,000. And I attribute that budget gap being there were some scope changes. As you noticed, that we've got some additional bridges that we added, 2 additional bridges, and it's a sign of the times. As you know, fuel has gone up, materials have gone up, they're hard to get. So that's how I attribute the cost gap. We anticipate doing a budget amendment from CIP 1702 Sugar Land Trail. At our 60% design, the engineer's cost estimate was $6 million. Fort Bend County Parks Bond package had $3.2 million for this project, and the city CIP CPK 1702 Sugar Land Trail has 6.4. That brings the total funding available to $9.6 million, which is well above our estimated cost. Like I said, that is a 60% design cost estimate. We're probably about 70 to 75% in design right now, and we're still comfortable with that $6 million estimate. So we're recommending a budget amendment to transfer $700,000 from CIP PK 1702 Sugar Land Trail to CIP CPK 1506 First Skyline Trail to make up for that budget gap. Project schedule, if it's awarded tonight, we anticipating issuing notice to proceed next month, December. Construction duration is 180 calendar days, which puts substantial completion in May of 2023. Construction impacts, they should be minimal. Existing trails will remain open as much as possible. There will be some single lane street closures during normal working hours, especially on that part along Sweetwater where we have to rebuild the existing sidewalk. We're going to have to remove it and pour it back, and there'll be some materials coming in and out. But the bridges are all offset from the street, so they'll require less closures. There still will be some materials offloading, especially the bridges and whatnot, that will require single lane closures during working hours. They won't be overnight. Notification for policy CO 110. We'll be doing postings on the city website, social media posting, HOA coordination, and we'll be out there daily coordinating with the public, the school, everybody else who's going to be impacted, and just to make sure everybody's on board and addressing any needs that could come up during the project. Request for approval, staff recommends approval of a construction contract in a total bid amount of $3,226,843.85 with DG Medina. And Mr. Medina is here in the audience tonight in case you guys have any questions for him. And I will add that his company successfully completed the Imperial Park Connector Trail in 2016. With that, we would like to do the budget amendment at $700,000 from Sugar Land Trail CIP 1702 into First Colony Trail CIP 1506.
Carol?
Thank you. So you want to transfer $700,000 from the Sugar Land Trail to the First Colony Trail. So what impact will this have on the Sugar Land Trail, if any?
It shouldn't have any. As you saw, there's a large budget surplus in there right now, and we're comfortable with that budget surplus being able to absorb this $700,000 without impacting the plans for that.
Okay, so you don't, with any
No, ma'am.
cost escalations or anything, you don't think that
It should not
$700,000 will
suffer
go
at
in?
all.
Okay, well, I am totally excited about the First Colony Trail, and I expect to see some council members out there with me on bicycles when this thing gets ready. Yep.
You sure?
Greg, $9.6 million for the Sugar Land Trail versus the $6 million. It's a big delta.
It is.
I've never seen a delta that large. My concern is when we get ready to do the Sugar Land Trail and follow up to what Carol also said, does a $6 million project go to $8 million, $9 million? You just mentioned cost of construction goes up, material goes up. Could our engineer or consultant be that off? It's just a $3.6 million delta. And I see Jesse Lee coming up, Dr. Jesse Lee coming up to come and help as well, so.
You want to do that one? Okay, you're right. It is a big difference there. We've looked at his estimate. There is a big difference, you're right, and we've looked at his estimate and compared it with recent bids that we've gotten as far as similar type products, concrete, and that type of stuff, and his numbers seem to be pretty accurate, and we'll be evaluating them again at 90%. Once we have a 90% plans, we'll be taking a look at them again, and just to make sure we're comfortable. Right now, everything looks good. There is a large surplus.
I would like
You
to
can bring it
add-
down.
Yeah, I have to lower it. I'm such, much shorter than he is. I would like to add the $9 million seems like a much bigger budget than we need. Please remember, there's $3.7 million we got from Fort Bend County 2020 Parks Bond. So that's showing the city, leverage other entities' money to deliver our own project. So without that $3.7 million, we don't have that much extra to support First Colony Trail. So in the 2020 Fort Bend County Parks Bond, we got additional money for both projects. We got more for District H. We got less for First Colony. Since 2013, our own Parks Bond, the trail project is one proposition, so we recommend to move additional money, $700,000 from Sugar Land Trail, not District H, to First Colony Trail.
Mayor, follow-up?
Follow-up?
So maybe you go back 2 slides because maybe I misread something or misheard something. Let's go back again. One more. So the Sugar Land Trail, do we have an estimate of how much that would cost? That's the $6 million, right? Okay. So you feel with the $6 million engineers had put together, yes, we got the extra money, and now I hear it. So you've answered my question. I wanted to make sure I see this one more time. As long as you all feel good, I feel good. So.
Yes, we do. The Sugar Land Trail, the $6 million estimation also including 30% contingency. So.
Very good. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Got a motion by McCutcheon,
Second.
second by Kermally. I do have a comment. I want to again thank our Precinct 4 Commissioner, Ken DeMerchant. Ken was the one that stepped up and agreed to participate with the city council or with the city staff's help of providing some detail, and he did an extraordinary job. Realize that he's going to be going out in January, but we all owe a debt of gratitude to Kenda Merchant for supporting this and providing the park bonds, the Fort Bend County park bond money to our projects. That was pretty unprecedented. It's never happened before. But we appreciate his leadership on that particular issue. Got a motion and a second. Anything else from council? If you'll vote at this time, please. And it passes 7-0. Thank you, council. Item number 6, ordinances and resolutions. 6A, first and final consideration. Consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land ordinance number 2285, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Sugar Land, Texas General Obligation Bond Series 2022A. We have Rosita Bashoon, Finance Manager. She's going to present for us. Rosita?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
My first item is the first and final ordinance number 2285 for general obligation bonds, Series 2022A. This is the fourth issue of the $90.76 million voted authorization from the 2019 GO bond election. The project approved in the FY23 budget and CIP. The total amount for construction is $29.03 million and will fund drainage, municipal streets, and animal shelter projects. Here we have a list of the CIP projects. It's a total of 9 projects, totaling $29.03 million. Our AAA bond rating was affirmed by both Standard & Poor's and Fitch, and this item was taken twice to the Finance and Audit Committee. The bonds will be delivered on December 15. Staff is recommending the approval of the first and final reading of ordinance number 2285, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds, Series 2022A, for $29.03 million. Are there any questions?
What's the interest rate on the bonds?
The interest rate.
Joe, come
We
on
have
up.
Joe here,
No,
our
Joe Morrow.
financial advisor.
Mayor, members of council, Joe Morrow with Hilltop Securities. We sold the general obligations today with a true interest cost of 3.97.
That's pretty good in this market, isn't it?
That's very good. We started to have a rally in the market last Wednesday. It accelerated Thursday with the CPI, and it's continued this week, and we enjoyed the benefit of that. So, yes, a very good
Congratulations.
result.
Thank you, Joe. Any question? Do I have a motion? Got a motion by Carmali. Do I have a second? Got a second by Watley. You vote this time, please. And it's a 7-0 vote. Thank you, council members. Item number 6B, first and final consideration. Consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land ordinance number 2286, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Sugar Land, Texas Waterworks and Sewer System Revenue Bonds, Series 2022A. Rosita?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Mayor. This is my second item, and it's the first and final ordinance number 2286 for the Water and Sewer Revenue Bond Series 2022A. This issue will fund the capital projects for the utility fund for the FY23 CIP. The debt is not supported by property taxes. It's supported by utility charges for service. Revenue bonds do carry their own bond rating. We have a total of 20 projects for totaling $16.5 million. Both S&P and Fitch assign AA ratings and recognizes the quality of the city's financial management. FY23 is the third year of the rate plan, and these increases have resulted in significant progress in the all-in bond coverage ratio. This item was taken to the Finance and Audit Committee twice. The bonds will be delivered on December 15th. Staff is recommending the approval of the first and final reading of ordinance number 2286, authorizing the issuance of water and sewer system revenue bonds, Series 2022-8, for $16.5 million. Are there any questions?
William?
I figured it out. So I want to apologize for the noise here. I'm trying to figure out how to use this. Not everybody has Mayor Zimmerman's voice, loud voice. You made a comment for those people that could not hear your response, like me. You said that this is not supported by property taxes, but it's supported by what?
Water, wastewater,
Supported by
surface
fees.
water revenues.
Just
The water fund.
I just want to make sure everybody watching could hear that because I could not. So that was
sorry.
all I had. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thanks, William. Any other questions? And Joe, are we getting ready to issue these? If we are, have we sold these bonds too?
Yes, sir. We went into the market this morning. These bonds were marketed. They're here for your final approval to solidify their sale.
What was the interest rate on these?
On these bonds, we sold at a true interest cost of 4.08. I am excited about that for you because your general obligation bonds are a natural AAA, right? These being revenue bonds, essential service revenue bonds, is a strong credit as well, but you're a AA, 2 steps below your natural AAA, and you got a very aggressive pricing on this to be just 10.5 basis points behind, so you did very well.
Which is pretty extraordinary, yeah.
Yes.
Do I have a motion? Motion to approve. Got a motion by Ferguson. Do I have a second? Second by Lane. You'll vote at this time, please. And it passes 7-0. Thank you, Rosita. Congratulations to Finance and City of Sugar Land, Joe, to you and your team for their hard work. Item number 6C, consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land Resolution number 2251. Resolution authorizing publication of notice of intention to issue certificates of obligation. Rosita.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My final item is the request to approve resolution number 22-51, intent to issue certificate of obligations. And this would cover 3 airport projects totaling $6.4 million. This debt is not supported by property taxes and will be repaid from airport revenues. State law requires the city to provide notice of intent to issue COs. Notice must be published in a newspaper and also on the city's website. This item was taken to the Finance and Audit Committee on November 9th. Staff is recommending the approval of resolution number 22-51 with the city's intent to issue certificate of obligation for airport projects on January 17, 2023. Are there any questions?
I have a question
Yeah, Nishad, go ahead.
Rosita, can you go back one slide? Right here, newspaper failure to publish. What does that mean?
It's, we had a bit of an issue where the newspaper did not publish the notice, which is one of the requirements, and we had to start the process over again with the ads in the newspaper as well as the city's website.
So we're not doing this until January of 2023?
January 17th, yes.
So we'll put in the newspaper notice and then give the
Yes.
right amount of time?
Yes.
And then,
Yes, because we do have, yes.
and it's okay to approve this early in the game? There's no issue with that? Is there?
We're just approving issuance, so we're not approving the sale.
We're just approving the resolution.
Thank you, Rosita.
You're welcome.
Move to approve.
Got a motion by Jacobson. Do I have a second? Second by McCutcheon. You'll vote at this time, please. And it passes 7-0. Thank you, council members. Item number 7, City Council City Manager Reports. 7A, Council Member Reports. Stuart, let's start with you.
May I borrow your microphone there?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ooh, I don't think I'm going to give this one back. Let's see. I did some things with some other council members, so I don't want to be a hog. One of the best things, maybe the best thing I did, was attending the Brookdale Veterans Day program with Suzanne and Carol, and that was a terrific program. Brookdale is one of our senior living communities, and they do a program every year, and the room was overflowed, and it was really, really inspirational, and we had a great time. And I'll let some other people do the other ones.
Carol.
Well, Councilmember Kamali, I can't get that word out, Kamali and I had a District 2 and 4 town hall last week, and we had a lot of public engagement on that. And the Fort Bend Chamber had a ribbon cutting at BB Italia, and council members Kamali and Jacobson attended that with me. And again, it's 3 times in a row. Councilmember Kamali and I attended the city's Trash and Truck Fest at Memorial Park. And that was a lot of fun. That was a big hit with the kids. Even Nashad and I, we got up in the trash truck and, blew the horn and that kind of stuff like that. So the city did a great job on that.
Jennifer. Man, y'all are short tonight.
Our Sugarland Town Square is such an interesting place. We had 40 kids from area private and public schools spend the night out here, and it started to rain. They had to sleep on the top floor of the parking garage, and it's all to increase awareness of what homeless people go through. So it's a very interesting project for our youth and our community to want to engage in that and receive their service hours. And we have the Arc of Fort Bend is having their Best in the West event coming up this Saturday evening at the George Ranch.
Michelle.
Mayor, you and I attended the Jingle Tree lighting at the Museum of Natural Science in District 2, the best district there is, and there's some beautiful trees. Tomorrow is actually the last day, or Thursday is the last day where they sell them. They're all up for auction, and all the proceeds go back to education and in the community and other projects that the museum can do. So if you haven't gone out there, you got 2 days to go, and then there's a big auction that happens on Thursday evening. But that was a fun event. That's it.
William.
If my microphone is working here we go. I really wanted to focus on the great job of 2 groups. One, our council members that handled their town halls so well.
I couldn't believe they didn't talk about it.
I know. I'm sorry. I have to say it because I witnessed it. But the second group were the citizens that actually showed up. And I'm going to use a round number. I don't know the actual count. The people that showed up, I'm going to guess, was about 60. I'm not positive. And I am so proud of them because there's 111,000 people in this city, and 60 showed up, and I am so happy they did to ask questions. And so I wanted to tell them thank you for showing up and being a part of what makes us great. So
You're telling me you got low expectations. Suzanne.
I don't know how to follow that. But since you brought up the town hall, thank you, Stuart, for joining me in ours, because you were on key the whole time, and we all had great times during our town hall, so thank you for that, everybody. I went to the rodeo at the ranch on Saturday, benefiting the Fort Bend Women's Center, and they had a rodeo. They had food, they had dancing, and they had armadillo racing. I held my first armadillo. I will never hold another one. But it was pretty darn cool. So that was really cool. The other thing I need to mention was, and some of you were there, the Exchange Club. Thank you, Mary. You were there. Carol was there. We had the One Nation Under God, which was just fabulous. It was a great way to just honor our vets. And at Rotary, we also did a great presentation, Veterans Day celebration and recognition. I want to shout out to Mary Favre for doing an incredible job bringing memorabilia and just honoring our vets. We had 2 World War II vets there. One was 101, one was 100, and it was just incredible to be in their presence. So thank you.
I want to give a thank you to staff, not only for the support on the 2 town halls, but we recently, last week, held a legislative update for the Fort Bend County Mayors and Council Members Association. It was well attended. I was at my granddaughter's play, so I did not attend, but particular shout out to Rick Ramirez, who was there, represented as well, he and Charlie Jessup. So thanks to staff for the support in putting that together. All the feedback that I've received from the Fort Bend County mayors, those that attended, was fabulous event. Definitely got them up to speed with what the major issues we believe will be with the legislature this next session starting in 2023. So thank you for that. Mike, City Manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick, I wanted to just highlight the AAA bond rating. That is a big deal, especially coming out of COVID. I want to thank our budget, our finance staff, all of our directors that contributed to that, Hilltop for everything they've done, and also the council for being disciplined and making the hard decisions of not doing short-term decisions, but the long-term interest of the city, which just affirms our AAA bond rating. Also want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, which is going to be next Thursday, Friday. Offices will be closed. I want to specifically thank our dozens and dozens and dozens of staff that are working while we are sitting at home, mostly in the police and the fire departments, and the fact that they do that so that we can enjoy these days is never lost on me. That's it, Mayor.
Thanks. Mike, I'm going to return to something before we go to the next item, and I'm going to address the animal shelter. Many of you in the public have sent a lot of emails to the city council members, including me. Let me be absolutely clear. The animal shelter is open. Staff has done an amazing job of sorting through the issues and getting it back stable. Council has not made a decision where we go from here, but the animal shelter will remain open. We're going to consider all options. That would be partnering with another city, partnering with other cities, partnering with a private entity, partnering with the county. Everything's on the table. At such time as staff has reported what the alternatives are, in other words, what we can make a decision on, council will take up the decision for what we do with the animal shelter. I repeat, it's not going to be closed, but that does not mean that we, with city employees, are going to operate it. Item number 8, closed executive session. 8A, closed executive session is authorized by Chapter 551, Texas Government Code in accordance with Section 551.074, personnel matters. And item number B, closed executive session is authorized by Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, also 551.074, personnel matters. And we'll adjourn and reconvene in the council dining room. Thank you all.